Have you ever felt that sudden chilling realization that your business's vital data might not be as secure as you thought? It's a silent fear, really, that lingers for so many organizations, a profound sense of vulnerability in our, rapidly evolving digital world. But here's the critical insight. Protecting your operations from this looming threat isn't about luck. Not at all. It's about rigorous, proactive preparation, a continuous commitment to building resilience. Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into precisely that, understanding and building an unshakable business continuity plan, specifically tailored, really, to withstand the digital avalanche of ransomware attacks. We'll be focusing particularly on their insidious impact on the manufacturing industry, a sector often overlooked in general cybersecurity discussions, but, as we'll uncover, one that is incredibly vulnerable, due to its unique operational footprint. Our mission for you, our listener, is to extract the vital insights that reveal the crucial steps necessary to safeguard your business operations. And your most valuable data, of course, from these increasingly sophisticated cyber threats. We want you to walk away not just informed, but well empowered. Before we dive into the core of our discussion, I want to take a moment to thank Stonefly. They're a leader in enterprise storage, backup and disaster recovery, AI storage, and cloud solutions. If you're looking for secure, ransomware-proof storage, Stonefly sells air-gapped and immutable storage. Really cutting-edge stuff. You can contact their sales team at sales@stonefly.com to schedule a demo. Their solutions are often a vital part of the robust plans we'll be discussing today. Okay, let's truly unpack this. The stark and, frankly, escalating reality of ransomware attacks. These aren't just minor annoyances or simply an IT department's headache anymore. We've seen them evolve into, well, existential threats that can bring businesses of all shapes and sizes, from startups to century-old giants, to a complete standstill. At its core, ransomware is malicious software, a digital predator, right? It infiltrates your systems, locks them down, encrypts your files. It effectively holds your entire digital operation, your IP, your customer records, production schedules, everything hostage until a ransom, typically demanded in crypto, is paid for their release. What's truly terrifying isn't just the encryption itself, but the sheer speed with which these attacks propagate, often moving from just one compromised workstation to an entire network in, well, mere minutes. And behind it all, a cold, hard, relentless financial motivation, often driven by organized crime syndicates operating with shocking efficiency.
You've really hit on the essence of it there. From a macroeconomic perspective, the scale of this threat isn't just staggering, it's accelerating. At an alarming rate, actually. Consider the figures from cybersecurity ventures. Ransomware attacks are now costing businesses a monumental $20 billion annually. That number isn't just a statistic. It represents lost productivity, shattered reputations, and in far too many cases, the complete collapse of organizations. What's even more alarming is the exponential growth, not just in volume, but in sophistication. These attacks aren't just targeting the big guys, the large corporations anymore. They're hitting companies of every size, from global enterprises with massive security budgets right down to small and medium-sized businesses with far fewer resources. This means that, realistically, no business can truly consider itself immune. The writing is on the wall, isn't it? Proactive, comprehensive preparation isn't merely a good idea or some compliance checkbox. It is, without hyperbole, the only sustainable way to safeguard your business's future and ensure its continued operation in this hostile digital landscape. Ignoring it is, well, it's like building a house and leaving the front door wide open in a hurricane.
And to truly drive home the devastating severity of this, we're not just talking about abstract statistics or hypothetical risks, are we? We have a vivid, real-world example that illustrates precisely how devastating this threat can be, especially in an industry like manufacturing, where digital vulnerabilities can rapidly manifest as physical paralysis. Tell us about Fasana.
Fasana. It's a chilling and tragically illustrative case. This was a historic German paper napkin manufacturer. A company with deep roots, founded way back in 1919, employed 240 workers at its Stautheim facility, representing generations of craft and, stability. Imagine a century of operation, a business that had weathered world wars, economic depressions, countless market shifts, suddenly brought to its knees by a digital threat. Around May 19, 2025, a fast-spreading ransomware attack, which was later linked to a known group, though interestingly no specific group publicly claimed responsibility, which is common. It completely paralyzed Fasana's entire IT infrastructure. We're talking about everything. Their PCs, their laptops, and most critically for a manufacturer, their production systems. This wasn't just a nuisance. It was an immediate operational guillotine. Wow, an operational guillotine. That's a stark image. It really was. The scene on May 21st, just 2 days after the initial breach, was almost surreal. Employees arriving to find physical extortion notes literally spewing from the printers across the factory floor. From the printers. Seriously. Yes. spewing from the printers. It's a stark image of digital chaos spilling right into the physical world. Operations were immediately halted. The company simply couldn't print delivery notes, couldn't manage production schedules, couldn't process orders, meaning they couldn't fulfill their commitments to customers. The impact was instantaneous and crippling. On May 20th alone, the day after the attack began, over 250,000 euros authorized orders could not be executed, just gone. And the financial bleed continued. Fasana suffered an estimated $2 million in revenue losses within just 2 weeks following the cyber attack, and the ripple effect was immediate and deeply personal for their workforce. May salaries for employees were delayed, adding a layer of human distress to the corporate crisis.
So not only is the business grinding to a halt, but the employees aren't getting paid. That's just awful.
Yeah, exactly. But the truly devastating consequence here, the ultimate nail in the coffin, was that the sheer severity of the disruption, this complete operational paralysis, forced Fasana to file for insolvency. The insolvency administrator, Dr. Dirk Wegener, stated it quite starkly. We couldn't even print a delivery note. Operations were completely paralyzed. Imagine that level of fundamental breakdown. A business can't perform its most basic administrative functions, let alone its core manufacturing processes. Even 3 weeks later, some critical applications were still not functional, and approximately 190 PCs and laptops, nearly their entire fleet, had to be collected, painstakingly examined and reconfigured from scratch.
A massive undertaking.
Huge. And in a broader business context, this came just months after Fasana had been acquired by PowerPark AG in March 2025. Now, after such a recent investment, they found themselves desperately seeking a new buyer within an 8-week time frame just to prevent complete closure. Fasana tragically demonstrated that for manufacturers, a cyber attack isn't just a data breach, it's a direct assault on the physical production line, where downtime isn't just measured in lost data, but in lost existence. It shows how quickly a single attack, driven purely by financial motives, can cascade from encrypting files to a complete operational shutdown, impacting everything from payroll to ultimately initiating insolvency proceedings for a business that had endured for over a century. It truly underscores the devastating real-world consequences that extend far beyond the digital realm.
That's a truly chilling example, and it spotlights what makes the manufacturing industry specifically such a uniquely prime target for these kinds of attacks. It's clearly not just about sensitive customer data anymore, is it? The Fasana case is a vivid, tragic illustration of that.
No, you're absolutely right. It's fundamentally different from a typical data breach affecting, say, a retail company or a bank. The manufacturing industry faces a uniquely heightened risk due to several core reasons. Firstly, manufacturers heavily rely on an intricate blend of both emerging digital technologies and, crucially, a significant amount of legacy operational technology, or OT. This includes everything from the automated machinery on the factory floor to process control systems and remote access mechanisms. These critical, often interconnected systems are frequent and, frankly, lucrative targets for cyber attackers, not just for the data they hold, but for the control they represent.
Control being the key word there.
Precisely. Secondly, and perhaps most critically, is the ongoing trend of IT-OT convergence, often referred to as Industry 4.0, right? As manufacturers aggressively pursue digital transformation efforts, leveraging cloud for data analytics, AI for predictive maintenance, IoT for real-time monitoring, they are increasingly connecting their traditional IT systems, the ones handling business apps, email, admin functions, with their OT systems, like industrial control systems in the actual production lines. Now, while this convergence creates enormous value for efficiency, innovation, and competitive advantage, it undeniably and significantly increases the risks of a breach. There was a telling study of over 500 technology executives. It revealed that a staggering 80% of manufacturers reported an increase in security incidents across their IT/OT environments. 80%.
80%, that's
Yeah.
huge.
It is. And what's even more alarming is that 75% of those reported incidents were classified as cyber-to-physical attacks. This means that IT breaches didn't just stay in the office, they directly spread to OT systems, impacting physical operations. This fundamentally changes the security paradigm. It makes traditional cybersecurity measures, like air gapping, the practice of completely isolating OT systems from external networks, far less effective, even obsolete in some cases due to this ever-growing integration.
So it's a completely different ballgame then. We're not just talking about the standard business data like customer records or financial information being at risk anymore. We're talking about the machinery itself, the physical control systems, the very heart of their production. That represents a whole new level of vulnerability and a significantly higher potential for physical damage or even safety issues.
Precisely. And this leads us to a whole host of specific technologies within manufacturing environments that are uniquely exposed to these kinds of attacks. For instance, many organizations still heavily rely on end-of-life software and hardware. These outdated technologies are often kept in operation because of, well, the perceived high costs of upgrading or the significant disruption it might cause to ongoing production, or sometimes just the lack of awareness of the risks. But the reality is they have known security vulnerabilities and simply lack modern defenses against current sophisticated threats. They are, frankly, low-hanging fruit for attackers.
Easy targets.
Very easy targets. Then you have enterprise resource planning, ERP systems. These are the central nervous system of any modern business, absolutely crucial for operations, managing everything from supply chains to production planning and finance. They contain highly valuable assets and are frequently targeted for encryption and disruption because compromising them can bring an entire business to a grinding halt. If an attacker controls your ERP, they basically control your ability to function.
Total paralysis again.
Exactly. Think about human-machine interfaces, HMI. These are the screens and controls that operators use directly to interact with and monitor machinery. Now, imagine the impact if unauthorized access to an HMI leads to operators losing control of a robotic arm, or a press, or a chemical mixer. This could potentially result in physical asset damage, destruction of valuable equipment, or even, terrifyingly, serious bodily injury to personnel. It's a direct bridge from digital chaos to profound physical consequences.
That's incredibly dangerous.
It is. And payment processing software is another key vulnerability. It's a major driver for cyberclaims, with the ever-present risk of funds transfer fraud and invoice manipulation. Even a single fraudulent transfer, where attackers trick a finance department into diverting payments, can lead to dire financial consequences. We're talking tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes more, just gone instantly.
Ouch. That hurts.
Definitely. We also see programmable logic controllers, PLC. These are the specialized computers used to monitor and control industrial equipment right on the factory floor. These are vulnerable to network-based attacks, physical tampering, and malicious software attacks that can compromise an entire operation. If a PLC is compromised, it can be commanded to overspeed a motor, open a valve incorrectly, or halt a critical process, all with potentially catastrophic outcomes.
Again, direct physical impact.
Absolutely. And finally, supervisory control and data acquisition SCADA systems. These are core components for managing and supervising entire industrial processes, often across vast geographic areas. They are frequently connected to other IT systems and, alarmingly, can sometimes be discoverable online if not properly secured, making them as vulnerable as any internet-connected device. What's particularly challenging is that SCADA systems are difficult to secure with traditional IT cybersecurity measures. Because of their real-time operational requirements, often proprietary protocols, and the critical need for uptime. They frequently require specialized compensating controls and a deep understanding of industrial protocols.
So they need a different approach to security.
A very different approach. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the possibility of physical damage to manufacturing equipment, widespread production halts, or even serious bodily injury as a direct result of a cyber attack. It's a unique and critical concern that truly sets this industry apart from many others. It's not just about data exfiltration or financial loss anymore, it's about physical operational integrity and safety.
It's profoundly clear, then, that a cyber incident, especially a ransomware attack, hitting a manufacturing business is far more than just the immediate act of paying a ransom, isn't it? The fallout feels incredibly widespread and deeply impactful, reaching into every corner of the business and beyond.
It absolutely is. And this is where the true multifaceted, cascading nature of these attacks becomes starkly clear. The business impacts extend far, far beyond just the initial ransom demand. First, there are the direct costs of response. Beyond any potential ransom payments, and remember, many companies choose not to pay or pay and don't get their data back anyway, the first-party expenses are significant. This includes engaging specialized legal counsel to navigate the complex regulatory and contractual implications, bringing in forensic investigators to understand the scope, origin, and method of the breach, implementing victim remediation efforts like credit monitoring, and fulfilling mandatory notifications to affected parties and regulatory bodies. Simple investigations can cost tens of thousands of dollars. But complex incidents, especially those touching both IT and OT systems, can escalate these costs exponentially, often into the millions.
Millions just for the cleanup and investigation.
Easily. Then you have the immense challenge of business interruption and reputation damage. A cyber event, whether it impacts your IT network or your OT environments, can severely affect a manufacturer's fundamental ability to produce and ship goods. Even short periods of disruption lead to direct revenue loss, missed shipments, and, as we saw with Fasana, potentially physical damage to production lines that requires costly repairs or replacements. These delays can ripple out, affecting contractual obligations with suppliers and customers, potentially incurring penalties, and certainly negatively impacting client retention and the ability to acquire new business. This erodes crucial customer trust over the long term, and reputation, once lost, is incredibly difficult and expensive to rebuild.
Trust is hard to earn and easy to lose, especially after something like this.
Precisely. There's also the often overlooked element of liability to others. While manufacturers might not collect vast amounts of personal consumer data like, say, an e-commerce giant, they very frequently handle corporate confidential data and systems for their B2B clients, and often must comply with stringent industry standards or government requirements for protecting that data. Their contracts with suppliers, partners, and customers frequently include strict information security and disclosure requirements in case of a breach. A failure to uphold these can expose firms to unforeseen cyber liability, leading to significant lawsuits or contractual penalties. This is an area many businesses just don't fully prepare for until it's too late.
So, legal trouble on top of everything else.
Potentially significant legal trouble. And critically, cybercrime goes beyond simple encryption or data breaches. Financial theft can occur without a data breach at all. Attackers can employ sophisticated social engineering tactics, duping billing departments into altering legitimate payment instructions. This can lead to instant, unrecoverable losses of tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars or even more as funds are transferred to fraudulent accounts. They can also gain email access to send fraudulent invoices or payment instructions directly to your clients and third parties, effectively redirecting funds that belong to your business or your partners. These are incredibly insidious, hard-to-detect attacks.
Wow, so they don't even need to break in, technically. They just trick someone.
Exactly. Social engineering is hugely effective. Finally, the challenges of recovery and restoration are immense and often underestimated. Resuming operations after damage or destruction of essential technology, data, or physical equipment is incredibly complex and time-consuming. It often requires bringing in extensive external support from cybersecurity firms, purchasing entirely new equipment, and dedicating significant internal time and resources. Full remediation often involves investing in new software, completely rebuilding systems, and bringing in consultants just to reconstruct the network architecture from the ground up. We've seen scenarios where manufacturers face double ransom situations, paying once and then being hit again, or receiving no decryption keys at all after paying, or as in the Fasana case where production was halted because digital risk turned physical for an industrial manufacturer. These aren't just hypothetical scenarios. They are grim, real occurrences that illustrate the long tail of consequences.
That brings us to a crucial point often overlooked: the personal, human side of this impact. Beyond just the balance sheet figures and operational downtime, what happens to the employees themselves who are often the most vulnerable during these attacks?
That's a really vital aspect, and it extends far beyond just the operational side. We've seen recent high-profile attacks on outsourced payroll providers, for instance. These incidents, often leveraging vulnerabilities in file transfer software, allowed criminals to access sensitive personal information of multiple companies' employees in one hit. End quote. The immediate employee impact is often terrifyingly direct: delayed pay. This can cause significant financial hardship, stress, and anxiety for individuals who rely on that paycheck for their livelihoods. This also leads to compliance failures for the employer, things like late payments of local tax and Social Security, as well as late payments to third-party pension providers, incurring penalties and regulatory scrutiny. And of course, there are potential breaches of data protection regulations, leading to further fines and investigations from governing bodies like GDPR or others.
So the company faces fines and the employees face hardship. A double whammy.
Absolutely. The longer-term implications are equally damaging. There's a profound erosion of employee trust in their employer, which is incredibly difficult to rebuild after their financial security or personal data has been jeopardized. There's significant reputational damage, making it harder to attract and retain talent. It also necessitates an immediate, often painful review of the company's disaster recovery plans and intense scrutiny of their entire data handling procedures, from collection to storage and access. What's absolutely critical to understand is that regardless of whether payroll is handled in-house or outsourced to a third party, the employer remains fundamentally responsible for accurate and timely pay, correct tax payments, and for managing any employee data breaches. That responsibility never shifts.
The buck stops with the employer.
It does. And it's not just payroll data at risk either. Employee data extends across myriad systems. HR records containing sensitive personal details, revenue authority reporting, bank payments for expenses, pension schemes, expense reimbursements. All of these systems require robust security measures, stringent access controls, and ongoing vigilance. A truly comprehensive security posture, therefore, must consider all these facets of employee data, not just the systems used for customer transactions. The human cost of these attacks is very real, and often it's the employees who bear the immediate brunt.
Given these profound and cascading risks, from physical operational paralysis to financial ruin and direct impacts on employees, the obvious question becomes, how do we build that resilient cyber shield? What are the actual components of a robust business continuity plan that can genuinely stand up to a ransomware attack? It sounds like there's a lot to consider, far beyond just installing antivirus software.
You're absolutely right. It's a multifaceted challenge requiring a systematic and integrated approach. A truly robust business continuity plan for ransomware encompasses several vital components, all working in concert, really, to ensure your business remains operational or can quickly resume operations, even during and after a severe cyber attack. First, you need a thorough business impact analysis, or BIA. This isn't just an academic exercise. It's about meticulously identifying your critical business activities, the functions that must be maintained to keep your doors open and your products moving. It then assesses the potential impact of any disruption on these activities, quantifying the financial, reputational, and operational damage. For a manufacturer, this means identifying which production lines are absolutely essential, what downtime costs per hour or per day, and what data is paramount for those lines. It's about understanding what absolutely cannot fail and what the consequences are if it does.
Knowing your critical weak points, essentially.
Exactly. Hand in hand with the BIA is a comprehensive risk assessment. This evaluates the specific threats and vulnerabilities unique to your organization, particularly those associated with ransomware. For manufacturers, this involves looking at those legacy OT systems we talked about, the IT-OT convergence points, and the potential impact on physical processes. Understanding these specific risks is crucial for developing targeted, effective mitigation strategies rather than just generic security measures.
Tailoring the defense to the specific threats.
Precisely. Next, and vitally important, you must have a detailed incident response plan. This plan outlines the immediate step-by-step actions to take after a ransomware incident occurs. It's the playbook for chaos, designed to minimize damage and initiate the recovery process. This includes clear communication strategies, who speaks to the press, who notifies customers, who informs regulators, and precise coordination with all relevant internal and external stakeholders, so everyone knows their role when the alarm bells are ringing. Without this, even the most technically sound recovery efforts can descend into confusion and delay.
You need that clear chain of command.
Absolutely. Then the backbone of any recovery is strong data backup and recovery systems. This emphasizes implementing regular, robust backup solutions. But it's not enough just to back up your data. You must ensure you have reliable backup data that can be quickly and comprehensively restored. What good is a backup if it takes days to access? Or worse, if it's corrupted or encrypted by the ransomware itself, which happens.
Right, the backup needs to be usable.
And tested. This leads directly to the recovery process and strategies. You need detailed written strategies for restoring business operations post-attack. This includes a comprehensive disaster recovery plan and defines specific recovery time objectives, or RTOs. That's the maximum acceptable downtime for systems and processes, determining how quickly systems must be back online to meet business needs. For manufacturers, RTOs for production systems are often measured in minutes or hours, not days.
Time is definitely money in manufacturing.
Very much so. Then there are the proactive elements of cyber attack defense. This involves implementing advanced security measures to protect against ransomware in the first place. This includes sophisticated endpoint detection and response, or EDR, systems that can detect suspicious activity on individual devices, and continuous monitoring of your entire IT and OT environment to catch threats early before they escalate. Equally important, and often the first line of defense, is training and awareness. It's absolutely crucial for all employees, from the CEO to the factory floor worker, to recognize and respond effectively to ransomware threats. An informed workforce capable of spotting phishing emails, understanding suspicious links, and recognizing other social engineering tactics transforms every employee into a vigilant human firewall. It significantly reduces the risk of a successful attack.
The human firewall, I like that.
It's critical. The true measure of effective training isn't just knowledge retention, but whether it cultivates a security-first culture where awareness becomes second nature, not just a compliance checkbox. And finally, a plan is useless if it's static. You need testing and maintenance. This means regularly testing your business continuity plan under realistic conditions and updating it based on those test results. Regular updates ensure the plan remains effective and reflects any changes in your business operations, the underlying technology, or crucially, the evolving threat landscape. Ransomware tactics change constantly, and your defense must evolve with them.
It's a living document, not something gathering dust on a shelf.
Exactly. This raises an important question, though. Simply having a plan isn't enough. Its effectiveness hinges on these interconnected components working in harmony. A single weak link, whether it's an outdated backup, an untested recovery process, or an untrained employee, can compromise the entire chain. It's about comprehensive resilience, not just isolated solutions.
So once you have that robust framework of the plan, how do you then ensure the data itself, the lifeblood of any business, especially one as reliant on data as a modern manufacturer, is truly protected and genuinely recoverable? What are the practical strategies and the cutting-edge technologies involved in safeguarding that critical information, ensuring it's not just backed up but truly available when disaster strikes?
This is where we delve into the granular details of data safeguarding, and it's a critical area where, frankly, many businesses fall short. It all starts with comprehensive backup strategies. You must schedule frequent, regular backups as a core, non-negotiable part of your business continuity plan. Think daily, or even more frequently, for critical data. These should include both on-site backups, which offer speed for quick local recovery, and crucially, off-site backups, whether that's to a geographically separate data center or, more commonly now, to the cloud. This mitigates physical disasters or large-scale digital threats that might affect your primary location. Leveraging cloud backups specifically provides an additional layer of security. It offers accessibility from anywhere and ensures your data is safe even if your physical premises or primary data centers are compromised. This flexibility often makes the recovery process faster and more efficient, reducing critical downtime.
So multiple copies in multiple places, the 3-2-1 rule, basically.
Precisely. The 3-2-1 rule is a great baseline. 3 copies of your data on 2 different media types with 1 copy off-site. But backups are only as good as their reliability, which leads to the paramount importance of rigorous testing and validation. You simply must regularly test your backup and recovery processes to ensure they function exactly as expected. This means simulating various disaster scenarios, including full-blown ransomware attacks, to verify that your systems can be restored completely and without issues. Don't just assume they'll work, prove it under pressure. Many organizations discover their backups are corrupted or incomplete only after an attack, which is, well, a catastrophic failure of planning. The worst time to find out your backup doesn't work is when you need it. Exactly. Beyond backups, implementing proactive data protection measures is non-negotiable. It forms the first line of defense. Encryption is fundamental. Sensitive data must be encrypted both at rest, meaning when it's stored on servers or devices, and in transit, as it moves across networks. This makes it incredibly difficult for attackers to exploit your data, even if they manage to breach your perimeter defenses. Complementing this, you need to implement strict access controls to limit who can access critical systems and data. This means leveraging multi-factor authentication, or MFA, which you're likely familiar with from banking or email, to ensure that even if a password is stolen, a second factor is needed to gain access. And role-based access controls, or RBAC, ensures that users only have the minimum necessary access to perform their job functions. This prevents lateral movement by attackers who might compromise a single low-privilege account. These provide essential additional layers of security.
Least privilege access, right?
Correct. Keeping all your systems and software current is also vital. Regular updates and patches significantly reduce vulnerabilities that ransomware attackers could exploit. Many attacks succeed simply because businesses are running outdated software with known weaknesses that have already been patched by the vendor. It's an easy but often overlooked fix. Basic cyber hygiene. And finally, continuous employee training is crucial. Educate your employees on data protection best practices and how to recognize potential threats like phishing and other social engineering tactics. As we said, the human element is often the weakest link, and an informed workforce significantly reduces that risk by preventing the initial entry point of many ransomware attacks.
So technology and people working together.
It has to be both. Leveraging advanced recovery technologies like disaster recovery as a service, or DURAS, can further enhance your resilience. DURAS solutions essentially automate recovery processes, which significantly reduces the need for manual intervention during a crisis. This helps ensure flawless execution of your recovery plan, often with guaranteed recovery times specified in SLAs. Ultimately, the best approach is a multi-layered approach to data, backup on-site, off-site, cloud-based, maybe immutable storage for truly comprehensive protection.
Immutable storage, like Stonefly offers, where the backup can't be changed or deleted.
Exactly. That's a powerful defense against ransomware trying to encrypt your backups too. What's fascinating here is that while backups are fundamental, their true value is only realized if they are meticulously tested and proven to be quickly, reliably, and fully restorable. This raises an important question. How many businesses truly put their recovery plan through its paces until it breaks, pushing it to its limits? Do they know exactly where their vulnerabilities lie, not just theoretically, but practically, under the stress of a simulated attack? That's the real test of resilience.
That's a powerful point. It's one thing to have a beautifully crafted plan on paper, maybe in a binder somewhere, but when the alarm bells are ringing and ransomware is actively spreading through your network, the true test is whether that plan can actually be executed effectively and rapidly. It's exactly like having a fire escape plan but never practicing the drill, isn't it? You might know the steps theoretically, but under the pressure of a real emergency, things can go horribly wrong, leading to panic and further damage.
That analogy is spot on, and it perfectly encapsulates why practicing incident response scenarios is absolutely critical for quickly and effectively recovering from ransomware attacks. You need to be able to hit the ground running without hesitation or confusion. This begins with developing a dynamic response plan. This plan needs crystal clear notification protocols outlining who to inform and when. Employees, customers, law enforcement, regulatory bodies. The communication needs to be prompt, transparent, and consistent to manage expectations and maintain trust.
Who calls who, essentially?
Yes, and what they say. Equally important are precise containment measures. This involves defining exact procedures to immediately isolate infected systems, preventing the ransomware from spreading further across your network. This step is about damage control and requires rapid decision-making. It also involves quickly assessing the extent of the damage, identifying what systems are compromised, and analyzing the attack's cause to prevent future occurrences. And of course, the plan must include immediate backup and disaster recovery efforts to restore affected data and systems, potentially utilizing advanced solutions like DRAs for maximum efficiency and speed.
Stop the bleeding, assess the damage, start the recovery.
In that order. All of this rolls up into ensuring robust business continuity management. It's not a one-and-done task you complete and then forget. It involves continuously evaluating the risks and potential exposure to ransomware, adapting your defenses accordingly as new threats emerge. This also means strategic resource allocation, ensuring you have the necessary personnel, technology, and budget allocated to cybersecurity, and that critical functions can continue with minimal disruption. This includes making sure backup systems are always ready, and that alternative work arrangements are in place should your primary facilities be compromised. And critically, you need to develop and rigorously enforce policies that enhance security and minimize risks, such as mandatory data encryption, regular system updates, and strict employee training on cyber hygiene. These policies turn a theoretical plan into practical, everyday protection, embedding security right into the company's DNA.
Making it part of the culture.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the true power, as you alluded to, lies in practicing incident response scenarios. This isn't just a theoretical desktop exercise walking through it on paper. This means conducting regular, realistic, simulated ransomware attacks to test your response and recovery plans. These simulations should be challenging, designed to uncover hidden gaps, understand the actual impact on business operations, and refine your strategies under pressure. What happens when your primary recovery team lead is on vacation? What if a key system backup fails? These drills provide invaluable real-world experience without the real-world consequences.
Learning the hard way, but safely.
Exactly. Alongside these simulations, you need continuous training sessions for employees to ensure they can recognize new threats and respond effectively. A well-trained staff, constantly updated on the latest phishing techniques and social engineering ploys, can significantly reduce the likelihood of a successful attack, often by preventing the initial entry point. And after each practice session, you must conduct a thorough evaluation and improvement loop. Use these insights to identify weaknesses, strengthen your business continuity plan, and ensure it remains robust and current in the face of evolving threats. This iterative process is what builds true adaptive resilience.
Thinking back to Fasana again, imagine if they had run these kinds of drills. While they eventually resumed limited operations, the cost of that initial prolonged paralysis, the loss of orders, the delayed payroll, the eventual insolvency was ultimately catastrophic. It vividly highlights the stark difference between a theoretical plan and one that's been proven under pressure and can be executed without hesitation. perhaps even saving a century-old business. So, looking beyond just the immediate incident response, what are the bigger, more strategic shifts businesses, especially in manufacturing, need to make to truly fortify their defenses and build long-term resilience against these persistent, evolving threats? This seems like a constant arms race, doesn't it?
It absolutely is a constant arms race, and it requires a fundamental reevaluation of how security is perceived and managed within these organizations. One significant shift, particularly within manufacturing, is in security responsibilities. Historically, production managers and engineers were primarily responsible for overseeing OT security. They understood the machinery and the processes intimately. That was their domain. However, with the increasing convergence of IT and OT, those security responsibilities are now increasingly falling to Chief Information Security Officers, or CISOs, and other IT executives who traditionally manage corporate networks. The challenge here is that this shift can lead to fragmented approaches if not managed properly. IT and OT have different priorities. IT often prioritizes confidentiality and integrity. OT prioritizes availability and safety. They have different uptime requirements, different tolerance for disruption, potentially leaving businesses without clear, unified direction and creating dangerous gaps. It requires real bridge building between historically separate departments. A CISO needs to understand the factory floor, and the plant manager needs to understand cyber risk.
Breaking down those silos.
Critically important. Compounding this is a significant cybersecurity skills gap. There's a real shortage of skilled professionals who understand both IT and OT security, the intricacies of industrial control systems alongside traditional network defenses. This makes it incredibly difficult for many manufacturers to manage this complex integration internally, especially for small and medium-sized businesses that simply can't afford a full team of highly specialized experts. As a result, many manufacturers are strategically turning to third-party providers for support, leveraging specialized managed security services or consultants who have that dual expertise. In fact, a report indicates that a substantial 51% of North American respondents plan to engage external services for ITT security within the next 18 months. That highlights the growing recognition of this skills deficit and the need for external partnership.
So, bringing in outside help is becoming more common.
Increasingly necessary for many. A critical strategic shift for long-term security in manufacturing, and one that is gaining vital traction, is the importance of network segmentation. This involves clearly separating and strongly protecting safety and reliability critical OT networks from IT networks. The goal is to eliminate all OT dependencies on IT systems and services where possible, creating distinct zones of control with strict gateways between them. Think of it as creating a consequence boundary, deploying the toughest security, like strong firewalls and one-way data diodes, at this IT-OT interface ensures that even if the IT network is compromised by ransomware or other third-party issues, critical production can safely continue, isolated from the IT chaos.
Like a digital watertight bulkhead on a ship.
That's an excellent analogy. This approach isn't just theoretical, it's standard practice in highly critical infrastructures like power grids and water treatment plants, where operational continuity is paramount and a breach could have catastrophic societal consequences. It's about building layers of isolation so that a breach in one area doesn't propagate to the most vital functions. This raises an important, maybe even disturbing question, though. If ransomware criminals can access OT systems directly today, leveraging IT vulnerabilities, how long will it be before they deliberately impair safety instrumented systems or protective relays as a routine part of their attacks? This would turn a purely financial motive into a direct safety hazard, impacting lives as well as livelihoods. It's a sobering thought that pushes the boundaries of our current understanding of cyber risk in the industrial space.
That's a truly frightening prospect, moving from extortion to potentially causing physical harm.
It's a possibility we need to prepare for. Finally, an essential component of modern risk management that manufacturers absolutely must consider and integrate into their overall strategy is cyber insurance. It offers crucial coverage for losses associated with data breaches, cyber extortion, business interruption, and other cyber-related incidents. It helps businesses cover those immediate direct costs we discussed: legal counsel, forensics, notifications. It also helps manage liabilities to other parties after a cyber event, such as client lawsuits or contractual penalties resulting from the breach. When you consider that the average cost of a cyber claim for manufacturing organizations is a significant $199,000, and the average funds transfer fraud loss is an even higher $303,000, these are very tangible, compelling reasons why robust cyber insurance coverage is no longer optional. It's a strategic investment in managing inevitable risk.
So it doesn't prevent the attack, but it helps manage the financial fallout.
Precisely. It's a key part of the overall resilience strategy, alongside prevention and response.
So, what we've really explored today reinforces that proactive, comprehensive business continuity planning is no longer a luxury, but an absolute necessity. A non negotiable in today's increasingly aggressive threat landscape. It's truly about building a resilient fortress, not just a flimsy fence. The profound value of meticulous preparation, implementing advanced technologies like air gapped and immutable storage, and maintaining continuous vigilance against rapidly evolving cyber threats, especially for industries as vital and vulnerable as manufacturing, simply cannot be overstated. From the devastating real-world case of Fasana, which highlighted the catastrophic consequences of operational paralysis, to the intricate vulnerabilities of IT convergence and the complex web of cascading impacts, the cost of inaction is clearly profound and, well, potentially existential. Consider this as we wrap up. In a world where digital threats can so easily manifest as physical shutdowns, financial ruin, and even corporate insolvency, how do you measure the true resilience of your business? Is it merely by its recovery speed, or is it measured by its inherent ability to anticipate the unexpected, to transform its defenses, and ultimately to emerge stronger and more adaptable from the digital avalanche? This isn't just about protecting your data, it's about safeguarding your entire future. This deep dive has been brought to you by Stonefly, a leader in enterprise storage, backup and disaster recovery, AI storage, and cloud solutions. For secure, ransomware-proof storage, including air-gapped and immutable solutions that provide an essential layer of defense, we encourage you to reach out to their sales team at sales@stonefly.com to schedule a demo. Protect your future today.
Thank you for joining us on the deep dive. We hope this conversation has not only informed, but truly empowered you to continue your own deep dive into cybersecurity resilience. Stay safe out there.